Daf Yomi, Tractate Menachot, page 103b. Top of the page, very top of the page, with the words Amar Ze'iri. Or some say Ze'eri. Amar Ze'eri, Lo Shanala, De'amar Mincha, Avad Amar Mincha Lo. The Gemara cites another comment concerning the ruling in the Mishnah that a vow to bring a meal offering from barley takes effect. Ze'iri said, I grew up saying Ze'iri, so I'll say Ze'iri. I mean, they put the vowels they put in here is Ze'iri. Maybe his name was Ze'iri, but I grew up with Ze'iri, so I'll keep with that. Ze'iri said, the sages taught that the first portion of one's statement is accepted only where he said in his vow, meal offering, mincha, but not in the Hebrew construct where it is attached to the term from barley, minchat seorim. But if he did not say the word meal offering independently, but either said minchat seorim or said it is incumbent upon me to bring barley, the vow does not take effect and he does not bring a meal offering. Yativ Rav Nachman v'komar la lahashmaita Yeit me'rav le'Rav Nachman kemach Yavi soiles Lav de lo amar mincha Lo de amar mincha. Rav Nachman was sitting and reciting this halacha of Ze'iri. Rava raised an objection to Rav Nachman from the Mishnah. One who vows to bring a meal offering from regular flour, which is not used for a meal offering, should bring the meal offering from fine flour. Is it not referring to a case where he did not say, it is incumbent upon me to bring a meal offering, but rather said, it is incumbent upon me to bring regular flour? Apparently, the vow takes effect even if one did not state the term meal offering in an independent form. Rav Nachman responded, no, it is referring to where he said, it is incumbent upon me to bring a meal offering of regular flour. Rava raised another similar objection from the continuation of the Mishnah. With regard to one who vows to bring a meal offering without oil and frankincense, his vow takes effect, and he shall bring it with oil and frankincense. What? Is it not referring to a case where he did not say the word meal offering in his vow, and yet it still takes effect? Rav Nachman responds, no, it is referring to a case where he said, it is incumbent on me to bring meal offering without oil or frankincense. Chatzi soin. Mincha lo de'amar mincha. Rava asks again, based on the Mishnah, if one vows to bring a meal offering of a tenth of an ephah, he should bring a complete tenth of an ephah. What? Is it not referring to a case where he did not say the term meal offering in his vow, and yet it still takes effect? Rav Nachman responds, no. It is referring to a case where he said, it is incumbent upon me to bring a meal offering of a tenth of an ephah. Rava asks if it is so that in all the cases in the Mishnah his vow included the term meal offering. Say the last clause. If one vows to bring a meal offering of a tenth and a half of an ephah, he should bring 2 tenths. Once he said the term meal offering, he is obligated in bringing a tenth of an ephah of flour. Therefore, when he states the words half a tenth, he is not saying anything, as he did not say the term meal offering with it and would not have to bring 2 tenths. In what case is the ruling in the latter clause relevant? Lo tzricha yamar harei alai mincha chatzi soren v'soren kevan yama mincha I chayav levi soren ki yamar chatzi soren lo klum komar ki hadar amar isaron ma'esi esaron acharina. Rav Nachman answers no. It is necessary to teach the halacha in the case where he said, it is incumbent upon me to bring a meal offering of a half, a tenth, and a tenth. Since he said the term meal offering, he is obligated in bringing a tenth of an ephah for it. When he said half a tenth, he is saying nothing, since the meal offering is not brought with that amount of flour. When he then said the word tenth, he therefore brings another tenth, totaling 2 tenths. Ihachi Rabbi Shimon poter shelo hitnadev kederech hamitnavin amai amarove Rabbi Shimon b'shitat Rabbi Yossi amara Diamar af bigmar devarav adam matpis. Rava asks if so. When the Mishnah continues, Rabbi Shimon deems one exempt from bringing a meal offering in all these cases, as he did not pledge in the manner of those who pledge. Why is this his opinion? Once he said the term meal offering, the vow should be valid. Rava said in response, Rabbi Shimon stated his opinion according to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, who said that the conclusion of a person's statement is also accepted. Therefore, even when he said the term meal offering at the beginning of the vow, since at the end he also made declarations that do not apply to a voluntary meal offering, the vow does not take effect. Okay? New Mishnah. Zog the Mishnah mitnadev Adam mincha shel 60 isaron umevi b'chli echad. In parentheses it says im amar harei alai 60 isaron mevi b'chli echad. And now im amar harei alai 60 echad mevi 60 b'chli echad ve'echad b'chli echad sheken hatzibor Maybe biyom tov arishon shel chag shechal yois b'shabes 61. A person may pledge a meal offering of 60 tenths of an ephah of fine flour and bring all 60 tenths in one vessel. If he says it is incumbent upon me to bring 60 tenths of an ephah, he brings it in one vessel. If he says it is incumbent upon me to bring 61 tenths of an ephah, he brings 60 tenths in one vessel and 1 tenth in another vessel, as the greatest number of tenths of an ephah that the community brings as meal offerings in one day is on the first festival day of Sukkot, when it occurs on Shabbat, when 61 tenths of an ephah of fine flour are brought. Dayo liachid shupachas min hatzibur echad. It is sufficient for an individual that the maximum amount that he can bring at once is 1/10 of an ephah less than that of the community. When the first day of Sukkot occurs on Shabbat, 13 bulls, 2 goats, and 14 lambs are sacrificed as the additional offerings of Sukkot. 2 lambs are sacrificed as the daily offerings, and 2 lambs are sacrificed as the additional offering of Shabbat. 3 tenths of an ephah are brought for each bull, 2 tenths for each goat, and 1 tenth for each lamb. Although that is 61 tenths of an ephah. Amar Rabbi Shimon, v'halo elu leparim, ואילו לכבשים אינם נבלעים זה עם זה, אלא עד 60 יכולים להיבדל. Rabbi Shimon says, what is the relevance of the tenths of an ephah sacrificed on Sukkot that occurs on Shabbat? Aren't these meal offerings for bulls and those for lambs? And they are not mixed together. See 89a. Rather, the reason that one may not bring more than 60/10 of an ephah in one vessel is because up to 60/10 of fine flour can be mixed with 1 log of oil. Amru lo shishim nivlolin v'shishim echad nivlolin olehem kol midos chachamim ken be'arba'im sa hu tovel u'be'arba'im sa chaser kartov ein yachol litva behen. The rabbi said to him, is it so that 60/10 of flour can be mixed with a log of oil, but 61/10 cannot be mixed? You're telling me if you put one more, it can't be mixed? Okay, it'll be a little thicker, but it'll still be mixed. Rabbi Shimon said to them, all the measures of the sages are so. For example, in a ritual bath containing 40 se'ah of water, one immerses for purification. And in a ritual bath with 40 se'ah less than the small measure of a kortov, one cannot immerse in it for purification. He was saying with less, but he didn't do so with more. Wonder why. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Okay, She'il. The Gemara says, She'il she'ela lemala min Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, minayin amar harei alai shishim echad, bevi shishim b'chlei echad, v'echad b'chlei echad. The sages asked a question above, meaning in front of Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai. From where is it derived that one who says, it is incumbent upon me to bring a meal offering of 61/10, bring 60/10 in one vessel and 1/10 in another vessel? Pasach Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, Rosh Hamidabrim b'chol makom b'yamar sheken Batzinu tzibo mevin b'yom tov harishon shel chag shechal yois b'shabes shishim echad dayo liyachid shivchos min hatzibur echad. Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, the first speaker on every occasion, began his speech and said, since we find that the greatest number of tenths of an ephah that the community brings in one day is on the first festival day of Sukkot, when it occurs on Shabbat, when 61/10 of fine flour are brought. It is therefore sufficient for an individual that the maximum amount he can bring at once is 1/10 of an ephah less than that of the community. Amar lo Rabbi Shimon, ve'alo elu parim ve'elim, ve'elu kevasim, ela beliloson ava, ve'elu beliloson raka, ela beliloson shachris, ve'elu beliloson ben arba'im, ve'en yivlolin mizeh lezeh. Rabbi Shimon said to him, aren't these meal offerings brought with bulls and those brought with lambs? Don't these, the meal offerings brought with the bulls, have a thick mixture, as 6 log of oil are mixed with 3/10 of an ephah of flour, and those, the meal offerings brought with the lambs, have a thin mixture, as 3 log of oil are mixed with 1/10 of an ephah of flour? Isn't the mixture of these meal offerings, the daily offering and the additional offerings performed in the morning, and a mixture of those meal offerings brought with the afternoon daily offering performed in the afternoon? And isn't it the case that they are not mixed with one another? The communal offerings cannot serve as precedent because they never bring 61/10 in one vessel. Amru lo Amorata Amar lahem Hare hu omer Chol mincha bilua b'shemen v'chariva Kvar amra Torah Ave mincha shechola lehibalel. The sages said to him, you should state a reason why a meal offering of more than 60/10 of an ephah must be brought in more than one vessel. Rabbi Shimon said to him, it says in the Torah, and every meal offering mixed with oil or dry shall all the sons of Aaron have, as well as another. Leviticus 7:10. The Torah has already stated here, bring a meal offering that is capable of being mixed. Amar lo b'shishim nivlalin, b'shishim b'echadin nivlalin. Amar lo kol midas chachomim kenhu, be'arboim sohu toivel, be'arboim sohu chaser kotro eno yachol lidbol. Rabbi Yehuda said to him, is it so that if the mixture consists of 60 tenths of flour, it can be mixed with a log of oil? And if it consists of 61 tenths, it cannot be mixed? Rabbi Shimon said to Rabbi Yehuda, all the measures of the sages are so. In a ritual bath containing 40 se'ah of water, one immerses for purification, and in a ritual bath with 40 se'ah less, a small measure of a quart of, one cannot immerse and be purified. Kebeitza mitame tumas oichlin, kebeitza chaser shum shum, ein mitame tumat ochlin, shlosha al shlosha mitame midras, shlosha al shlosha chaser nima achas, ein mitame midras. Similarly, food in the volume of an egg bulk transmits the ritual impurity of food, while food in the volume of an egg bulk less a small amount equal to the volume of a sesame seed does not transmit impurity of food. Similarly, a garment that is 3x3 handbreadth is susceptible to ritual impurity imparted by treading. If a man who experiences a gonorrhea-like discharge, the Zav sits or lies on it, while if it is 3x3 handbreadths, less than one thread, a tiny measurement, it is not susceptible to ritual impurity imparted by treading. Im lo balal kasher, amar Rabbi Zera, kol haroil bila, ein beilo makeves bo. The Gemara asks, even if 60 tenths do not mix with one log of oil, what of it? Didn't we learn in the Mishnah that although there is a mitzvah to mix the oil with the flour in the meal offering, if he did not mix them, it is still valid? The Gemara answers that Rabbi Zera says, for any measure of flour that is suitable for mixing with oil in a meal offering, the lack of mixing does not invalidate the meal offering. Although there is a mitzvah to mix the oil with the flour, you should do it. If you don't do it, it's okay. It'll still work. The meal offering is fit for sacrifice even if the oil and the flour are not mixed. And for any measure of flour that is not suitable for mixing with oil in meal offering, the lack of mixing invalidates the meal offering. It doesn't really make so much sense to me. If it's not suitable for mixing, then you shouldn't mix it. And why is it if you don't mix it? Why is it if you don't mix it, it invalidates it? You're not allowed to mix it. I don't get the other one. I get the first part. The second, kol haroil bila, ein bila makeves. If it's not royal bila, you don't ever have a case of that. It's not royal bila, then bila, then mixing it. Oh, I think maybe they're mistranslating it. If it's not suitable for mixing, then if you mix it, it will. That's like super obvious, but I think they made a mistake here. It seems to me that they made a mistake in translation. the mixing, if it's not right to mix, then of course it's obvious, but at least it makes sense. The other way doesn't make sense, so I'll go with that. Amar Rav Bibi, Amar Yehoshua ben Levi, Kol Maaseh Pirda Achas Shel Beis Rebbe Shemeisa V'Shiaro Chachamim Es Dama V'Rebbeis. The Gemara relates an incident involving halachic measurements. Rav Bibi says that Rav Yehoshua ben Levi says there was an incident involving a mule belonging to the house of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi that died, and the sages estimated the amount of its blood that emerged as a quarter log, which is the minimum measure, the minimum measurement for it to impart ritual impurity. Mesiv Rabbi Yitzchak bar Bisna, Heged Rabbi Yehoshua ben Betera, al dam nevelos shutao. Amar Rabbi Yehoshua ben Betera, Maasesh v'haya nocharin, arodios le'arayos, bistarer shel melech, v'hayo le'rogalim, shokiin ad rekuvotehen madam, v'lo amru lehem davar. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Bisna raises an objection. Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabbi Yehoshua ben Betera, I wonder if he was related to Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera. Maybe they were brothers. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Betera testified that they had a tradition concerning the blood of unslaughtered animal carcasses that was ritually pure. Similarly, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Betera said an incident occurred where people were killing wild donkeys in order to feed the meat to the lions that were in the king's stadium. And those ascending to Jerusalem on the pilgrimage festival were wading up to their knees in the donkey's blood. I don't know, it seemed like a bit of an exaggeration, but okay. They're wading up in the donkey's blood, and the sages did not say anything to them about becoming impure. Apparently the blood of an animal carcass does not transmit ritual impurity, even though the carcass itself does. I wonder why. Ishtik. Rabbi Bibi was silent and did not answer. Amalei Rav Zarika, my time loka mihadar mar. Amalei hechi hadar le diam Rabbi Chanin. V'hayu chayecha teluim lecha mineged. Zeh lokeach tevua mishana l'shana. So Rabbi Zarika said to him, what is the reason that the master does not respond to the question? Rabbi Bibi said to him, how can I respond to him? My circumstances can be described as Rabbi Chanin said in interpreting the verse, and your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear night and day, and you shall have no assurance of your life. Deuteronomy 28:66. And your life shall hang in doubt before you. This is referring to one who purchases grain from one year for the next, because he's not certain that he will find grain to eat in the next year. Upachadita laila v'yomam. Zeh lokeach tuvua me'elav Shabbos lev Shabbos. Al tamen mechayecha zeh ala palto. And you shall fear night and day. This is referring to one who purchases grain from one Shabbat Eve to another, because he does not have the resources to provide for himself further. And you shall have no assurance of your life. This is referring to one who relies on the baker to give him bread because he has no grain of his own. I think that's many people. That's like everybody today. So we're all not sure of our life. So just reminded me of something that was said. I think this is with regard to the Tochacha, which is actually in Bechukotai. It was said by the first Rebbe of Chabad, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi. They call him the Alter Rebbe, the Baal Tanya, Admor HaZaken, the first Chabad Rebbe. He says that all these curses, they could actually be blessings if you know how to reverse them. So it just came to me that if you're able to reverse it mentally on your own, you come up with an idea, you should do it right away. Because many of them, I wouldn't know how to do it. You have to put some thought into it. There's many of them. There's like 98 of them in Deuteronomy, and there's 26 of them maybe in Leviticus. I'm not sure, 26 or it's more, 45 or something. There's a lot. But anyway, it came to mind that it says here, Al Tamim B'chayecha. This is seemingly at face value a curse, right? You won't have any assurance of your life. You'll have no faith in your own life. But today, if you think about it, there's all kinds of bakeries around. Tons of them. Angel Bakery, here in Jerusalem, Angel Bakery, Ne'eman. Interesting, no pun intended. It's called Cafe Ne'eman. Ne'eman means same word we use here. Don't trust. It means trust. So maybe the blessing is that we have no assurance of our own life, because we don't have to. We have assurance in God's abundance, who provides it without us having to grow the grain. And so that's how a curse that's said here in Deuteronomy 28 can be a blessing.